Okay, we are in Portion-Kedoshim, and it's on like 656. So we start off, this parsha is very interesting. We touched a lot about it in the Lunch and Learn. Because you have to have the gear, so you have to love the gear. And what that meant, is it a convert or not? So those who missed the Lunch and Learn, can't tell you. Yeah. But everybody here did come to Lunch and Learn. But that's certainly part of this parsha. Now we're going to start from the very beginning. It says, "Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe lemor." Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, and it says, "Daber el kol adat bnei Israel." Speak to the entire congregation of Bnei Israel, ve'amart aleim, and say to them, "Kedoshim tihiyu." You shall be holy. Why? Ki kadosh ani Hashem elkeichem. Because I, Hashem, your God, am holy. So Rashi tells us two things, amongst the many things. He tells us specifically two things. He says, when it says, speak to all the congregation of Bnei Israel, he says, Malamed shenemra parshazu bahakel. He said, he assembled everybody together, this particular parsha, he assembled everybody together, and he said, amongst the congregation. Okay, so that's unlike other times when we would have people, the old way when Moshe would teach a class, when he would get a law, so he would then tell Moshe, he would tell Aaron. Then he would pull in Aaron's children and tell Aaron and his children. Then he would pull in the entire Sanhedrin and the elders, in other words. So he would have Aaron's children, and then Sanhedrin. And finally, he would tell all of Israel. So that way, you would learn it all. So everybody would learn it multiple times, except for Bnei Israel, who only heard it once. But here, this one was said in one mass assembly. Okay? And why? Rashi explains, Sharov Gufei Torah Toloyin Ba, because the large majority of basic Judaism is in this parsha. And so that's how Rashi explaining it. The Sifta Chachamim says, explaining Rashi's question, he says, if you want to say that Hai Kol Torah Kula Shana Moshe the Koshel, certainly Moshe taught all of Torah to all of Israel, Moshe Peter's Rashi Parsha Kitisa, like Rashi explained in Kitisa, V'Shlomo. So the answer would be the Parsha Zu Nemra Lahem Behakel. This particular parsha was said, like I said, in the mass assembly, Nashim V'Taf, not only men, but also women and children. Tichtiv, as it says, Kol Adap in Israel, and all the assembly of, all the congregation of Bnei Israel, like it says in Parsha Vayelech, Hakel et Ha'am, Ha'anashim V'Anashim V'Taf, where again it says, assemble all of the nation, men, women, and children. Aval Sha'ara Parshiyot, but the other Parshiyot, Lo Shana Moshe Ela La'anashim. He only taught it to the men, because most of the commands are going to do with the men. Oh, the Shlomo, and furthermore, you could answer that Moshe Shana, Shina Lahem, Kito Zu Achazu, that normally he would teach group after group, like I explained in the other way. Aval Parsha Zu, Haya Mamad called Yisrael, but this particular Parsha, again, was said with everybody assembled. V'nafka mina, and the practical difference would be, She'enam Yecholden Lomar, Efshi b'mitzvah zu. Nobody could say, I can't do this mitzvah. Because I have to ask on it. Umar shlosha alti miyad Moshe. All right. The Fishaloha Yasham Kol She'el. And why didn't they ask? Because nobody was there. No, so they had to all be assembled. Shemach and Kol She'el biyachad. That's why everybody was there. Shlo Yechol no markazeh. So they couldn't say, if I was there, I would have asked this question. The best way to kill any law is by doing it one by one by one by one. So then somebody can say, well, if I was there, I would just tell them, this is impossible. You can't do this. Okay. So now I assemble everybody, and if you have a problem with that, so now it's your big chance to raise your hand and voice your problem. And if you don't, then that's what we say. You're quiet, so it's as if you admit. Okay? That's the first part. Then he says, Kedoshim Tihiyu. Now Rashi here says, Heve Perushim min ha'arayot u'min ha'avera. You're separating. We're going to have commandments to separate yourself from the different. We already heard it in Acharei Mot, but the different women we can't marry. We're going to have that repeated again a little here. And that's arayot, the forbidden relations. And also, you must separate yourself from avera, from sin. And Rashi explains, Shekol makom, she'ata motzi gede irva, ata motzi kedusha. Every place that you find a fence around forbidden relations, you find holiness. So that's why in next week's parsha, in Emor, we're going to hear that the Kohen cannot marry the Zona, the Chalala, a person who had illicit relations with somebody she could not marry, or the offspring of that relationship. And then it says, Ani Hashem Mekadeshem, right away it says, I am Hashem who makes you holy, talking about the Kohanim. You shouldn't make your children profane. Ani Hashem Mekadeshem, again, I am the Hashem who sanctifies them, Kedoshim Yihiyu. So again it says you should be holy. So once again it's telling us Isha Zona v'Chalal, that they can't marry. Fine. So that's what Rashi is saying, is a very powerful statement, that every time that the Torah is or anytime we separate ourselves from something, asceticism, there's a level of Kedusha that we get from that. Now why? What does Kedusha really mean? That's, well, it comes, Kadosh comes to mean holy, but it also means separation. Oh. I am sanctifying, I'm separating you. Wait, I'm separating you from something. So anytime we separate, what Rashi is telling us is where we have a level of Kedusha. It doesn't mean that we're looking for that separation never to get married, because that's just, it goes against Torah. It says, Pruavu, you have to have children. And it doesn't mean I should separate myself from everybody, because again, you have to recha kamocha. I have to love me like yourself. And so I have to have this interplay. But I also have to separate myself. I personally have to separate myself from certain things. And that's why we can't have non-kosher food and everything else, because Hashem said, these are how I want you to separate yourselves and be a separate nation amongst nations. That itself will be Kedusha. Why? Well, it'll lead to that sanctity, because you're doing it because I said so, not because you think that is ethically correct. Not you personally think it's ethically correct. As a matter of fact, you want to do it. It's going to get the end of the parsha. It's going to say this, that you want it. You should say, I want to do it, but I can't because God doesn't want me to. Yeah.
Doesn't it also mean different? Kedusha, different, or is that under the thing of separate?
Havdalah is separation, different. Meshuna is different. So I'm not sure if Kedusha would ever be considered different.
Kadosh?
Kadosh means holy.
Oh, Kadosh means holy.
So if you're taking this state of holiness upon yourself, I mean, that is a separation, because them, all the others, they're right. Doing and engaged in all these things, and we, by becoming Kadosh, or taking this Kedusha, we are separating ourselves in that manner. So
correct, but the question becomes, why are you separating yourself?
Oh, to not be influenced negatively.
So if that, but again, it goes for, again, you keep going with that and say, why don't you want to be influenced negatively? Is it because God said so, or because you just don't want to?
No, because God gave us the...
Okay, so but that's the major thing. Yeah. Again, everything has to be done l'shem shamayim. Yeah. Because what could happen is you have many non-Jews who separate themselves from the world. Yeah. You have the monks, you have the priests, you have people who throw the TV away, you have people who get off the grid, you have a lot of people who separate themselves. Are they necessarily doing it for Kedusha? They'll never listen to this because they're off the grid. But are they doing it because they want to separate themselves because they want to get closer to God? No. They're doing it because they're doing it because God said to do it? No. They're doing it because that's how they feel that they need to do to extricate themselves from the Mishigas of society.
Not as a commandment.
It's not a commandment. It's not. So they're not getting that level. What they're doing is separating themselves. Fine. So live in a forest, put a barrel on yourself, and be happy. You know, but that's not what we're striving for. We're striving for Kedusha, which means living in this world and yet separate, sanctifying. Again, that's why I'm saying the word kedusha, while it starts off with separation, it's saying sanctifying. I'm sanctifying my very existence and everything I do to serve Hashem, which is why when I don't have the cheeseburger or whatever.
You could live in a city like this, a big mixed city, as most every city is, but having that state of kedusha, and then it causes that, so not necessarily a physical separation, totally physically separate, like up on a mountain someplace, but psychologically.
Correct. Which is why, by the way, when you see Hasidim will wear the clothes, and they'll separate themselves that way. That's how they're helping to keep themselves separate. Again, Hasidim know computers. They are accountants. They are lawyers. They are doctors. But they understand that in their holy mission as a Jew is to sanctify their lives and everything around them for Hashem. And so if they can do that through medicine, through law, or through picking up the garbage up, I'm not going to belittle the blue-collar worker. If I'm a plumber, I also can wear a Hasidic garb or a kippah or tzitzis hanging out, whatever the case is going to be. And I can sanctify that whole thing for Hashem. What are you saying? You shouldn't wear the tzitzis when you're doing plumbing.
Construction working, tzitzis might be dangerous.
Okay, so that's when you tuck them in. Yeah, everything you have to use your brains with everything. But it's... But what I'm saying is that's what we're looking for. That's why I say in Kedoshim to you, you should be holy. But why should you be holy? Ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem, because I, Hashem, your God, am holy. That's why you should be holy. And it's so then it goes on to, and now we're going to get into other things. Again, we're dealing with Kohanim here. So it says, I'm sorry, we're not dealing with Kohanim, not in this Pasha, next Pasha. Then it says, Ish Imov aviv tira'u, that a man should fear, have respect, however you want to look at that, for his mother and his father, v'et shabtotai tishmoru, and my Shabbatot you should guard. In other words, you shouldn't do it. Tishmoru is always the negative commandment, you shouldn't break it, as compared to Zachor, which means saying Kiddush. And then again it says, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, I am Hashem your God. So what's going on there? So Rashi explains, Kol echad mikem tiru avivi imo. Every single person amongst you, male and female, should fear their father and mother. How do you know that? Because it says, Ish imo vaviv tira'u, an individual, and then it goes tira'u, you plural. You understand? It goes from an individual, singular, to plural. So Rashi says, wait, why is it plural? It should say, Ish aviv imotira. You should fear. Or he, or yira, he should fear. Why tira'u? So again, he's saying that both men and women are doing it, have to do it. He said that's a simple understanding. Midrasho, he says, according to the Midrash, Ainli ela ish. I only know from this part of this statement that a man must honor the parents. Isha menayin. How do you know that a woman has to honor the parents? Keshu omer tira'u. When it says tira'u, plural. Hare kanshnayim. There's two people here. It's plural, at least two. Im kain lamanem har ish. So if that's the case, you want to say that includes a woman. So why say ish? And she said ish she pibiadola. So because a man is independent. A man is independent. He gets married. He's independent. He's the one who's bringing the money in. He's doing everything. Unlike a woman, avalash isha reshuda chayrim aleha. But a woman is under the power of somebody else, namely her husband. So the husband would say to the wife, "You're forbidden to go to your father." She may be forbidden. It could be a problem. Mm-hmm. Okay. But it's because and furthermore, if the wife asks, if the father asked her for something, and the husband asked her for something, who would she be obligated to serve first, if you will? The husband. So again, she's put into a pickle when it comes to this. So the Torah didn't say ish v'isha. It just said a man, because a man always has to honor his parents, and nobody can stop him. In the case of a woman, she has other people who have power over her sometimes. Then it says, then Rashi looks at something else. He says, wait a second. If you look at Kibud Av Ve'em, if you go back to the Ten Commandments, so it says, Kaved et avicha ve'atimecha, honor your father and your mother. And here it says, fear your mother and your father. Why did they reverse it? Why did Hashem reverse it? Hashem's a writer. Hashem forgot what he wrote in Exodus. What's Pshat here? Okay, so he says, Kan hikdim aim la'av here. God puts Av, aim before Av. Why? Lefisha galboy lefanav. Because it was revealed before Hashem. Shahabein yared aviv yotim imo. It's a known thing, that God would understood, that the son fears or respects his father more than his mother. He's afraid of the father. The father can hit faster. Okay, whatever the case is going to be. Father, and if you really think about it, most fathers, even then, were not sitting at home. They were out. They were working. So the kid wouldn't see the kid wouldn't see the parent every time, the father every time. What he would see is his mother every time. On top of that, there's different modes of communication that men and women have. I'm talking in general terms. I'm not talking to every single man and every single woman. But in general, a man is, I'm going to fix the problem sort of thing. Doesn't really listen to listen. He doesn't commiserate with the person. You come to him with you come to us with a problem, and 9 times out of 10 we'll try to help you fix it. Okay. Once in a while we'll realize, you just want to talk. Okay. But normally we're not going to do that. That's why it says in the Midrash, in the Gemara, that women got 9/10 of speech and men got 1. Because women know how to use the language. They're better with that. They know how to convince you of things that you wouldn't normally want to do. They have that power. Men don't have that power. Again, I'm talking in general terms, totally general terms here. So it says, and it was also known for Kibud, when it comes to honor, Hikdim Av La'im, that when it comes to honor, God put father before mother. Why? Because it was known that the son honors his mother more than his father. And why? Because, again, in traditional, what we're talking about here is the mother's always there. And so the son is going to honor her much more than the father. It's just natural because they're always there. And Rashi even says, because she convinces them with words. There's words versus power. So I'm going to honor my mother more than my father. Now, I'm not sure if you would argue today when everybody's working, if this still applies. I can't argue that. But it would be an interesting experiment to look at how the world is today. In a family where both people are working, or when the mother's working and the father's home, does this dynamic change? I don't know.
It just seems like just because the fact that a child is born from his mother, that it just seems, even if the mother's working, when the child's very little, it still seems like that just that natural built-in closer affinity.
Could be. Like I said, I would. But my mother stayed home, so I don't know. Again, that's what I'm saying. It would be an interesting experiment. My father was working. I love my father tremendously. Right. But what I'm saying is, if you reverse roles, or if both are out working, does it equal off everything? In other words, are kids coming home and not having, especially today, by the way, when mothers, I shouldn't say today it's already gone back, but the baby-fed generation, which didn't have that same connection, but as nursing babies have. A nursing baby has a tremendous connection to the parent, to the mother. You can't beat that. Man should. You just won't. Forget it. You just won't. But if it's a baby-fed, if it's formula-fed babies, where there is no breastfeeding, so then there's not that connection. So now father and mother are feeding us, so the kid's looking and, who are you? Okay, you give me food. I understand. That's what it is. And and if the father is staying home and the mother's not there, It should work the other way, but I'm not sure.
I still think, unless there's a severe situation where the mother is really like bad or evil or something, and doesn't care for that, she had the child, she doesn't care for it. But normally, I just think at that infant stage that the mother's connection is going to be closer.
And I'm not arguing. I'm really not. I'm just posing the question. It would be an interesting. That would be an interesting sociological study.
We probably already have.
Google it.
In society, probably already have some.
I'm saying that it would be interesting. I never saw a study on it, but it would be interesting. So now, mind you, this pasuk is interesting. Why? Because it's talking about fearing your parents. Okay, and then it gets. Then the second step is guard my Sabbath. What does one have to do with the other? And then it ends off with "I'm Hashem your God." What's that have to do with anything? So Rashi looks at that and says, "Epshad tied tishmaru, samach shemir Shabbat lemorav." So the Torah connects the observance of the Sabbath to the fear of the parent, or again, fear or respect, however you want it. It has both connotations. Lomar to say af al pi shehizarticha al morav, even though I warned you, God warned you that you should have fear and honor for your parents. Still, im yomar lach, if he or she would say, he's saying in the plural, but in the singular, but again, in Hebrew, when it's talking about men and women together, you can say either way. So, if he or she should say to you, Chilel et Shabbat, break Shabbos, okay? Al tishmalo, you can't listen to him. And also any of the commandments. So once the parent would tell you, you have to do whatever. Okay, break this, break that. I need to go to the store now and get me something. And you say, but Abba, Ima, it's Shabbos. I can't get in the car. I can't take the money. Do it as kibud avein. You have to do it. It says in the Torah. Go to the Torah for that one. It's the fifth commandment. They all know it's the fifth commandment. And you say, I'm sorry. It says in the other place in Kedoshim. Or you can always, by the way, you should never say it to your parents because that's a lack of kavod. Anyway, you should say, but I understand kibbud avein, but how do you explain it? How do I understand this pasuk? Can you please tell me what this pasuk means? Hopefully, the parent will then come around. Now, if the question is, I have this juxtaposition, right? I have yira av, and then I have keep my Sabbath. But the last part is, I'm Hashem your God. So what does Rashi say? Ata v'avicha, why don't I listen to my parents when they tell me to do something against Torah? Because ata v'avicha chayavim bichvoti, you and your father and your parents are obligated in my honor. Lefichach lo tishma lo levatel et devarai. Therefore you will not listen to nullify my words. That's what he says. So that's the juxtaposition of those three things. You honor your parents. You have to fear your parents. You honor guard my Sabbath. Again, all the negatives, keep all the negatives there. And then I'm Hashem your God, because all of you are obligated to follow me. You're all obligated to honor me, God. So ultimately, you have to listen to me. If whatever they tell you to do right, you have to have honor and fear, trepidation, respect. You have to follow them. But once they go against my Torah, all bets are off. You don't do that, because then you're all obligated to me. I have you first. Okay, that's what he's saying. Rashi also says, what is this mora? We're talking about having respect and fear for your parents. What exactly is that? So there's one. He's quoting the Gemara, which is brought down as halacha. Lo yoshev bimkomo. You're not allowed to sit in your father's place.
What does that mean?
Your father has a separate at the table. You have a specific chair as a father, the head of the table normally. You have your chair. Your child is not allowed to sit in your chair, because otherwise he's trying to take your place. That is seen as a lack of reverence for your father.
Whether the father is home or away.
Correct. Unless the father would give permission or something else, but in general you don't do that. Okay? It could also be the seat in the synagogue.
Oh.
You're not allowed to sit there. Or there was a rabbi in Fall River who they used to have cheers for the rabbi, the Mizrach, like you want to have. Okay, they had it, and his grandchild want to sit in the chair. He said, get up. Can't sit there.
A young child?
Young child. He said, nope, you can't do it. And I said to him, what's pshat? He said, it's not for me. It's never. He said, I don't need the honor, but it's the honor of the office. The honor of the office. You can't sit in the rabbi or the cantors or the president.
Yeah.
Or, you can't sit there. Just not allowed.
If you were invited to the Oval Office to talk to the president, and let's say you were sitting there waiting for him to come in, you certainly wouldn't walk up and sit in his chair behind his desk, would you?
Maybe I would, just see what it feels like. I don't know. I'm not sure. You gotta admit, that's no, but you're right. Absolutely, you wouldn't think to do that. There's a lot of stories. We heard the story last week, actually. I think from Rabbi Linda, who was talking about the Malbim sat in. I forget who the rabbi was. The chair, that rabbi's chair, and so the rabbi said, "Stay where you." He saw him come in. And he jumped up. He said, "No, stay." And he never grew past that. And he was so upset and the whole thing. Okay, so the words of a tzaddik mean something, but that's the lesson of that. But what we're seeing there is you're not allowed to sit like that. You don't sit in your parents' chair. Again, if the parent gives permission, that's something else. But if they don't give permission, you shouldn't do it. Another thing is, lo yidabir komo, you can't speak in his place. Somebody asks your father a question, you can't answer in his stead. So that's not your place. It's a lack of reverence. Lo yistrap devarav, you also can't contradict his words. Your father says something, you don't contradict him. What you do, of course, again, if it's contradicting Torah, you say, well, Abba, Tati, Daddy, whatever you call your father. Hopefully you don't call him by his first name. Because that's still lack of reverence again. Okay, but you're going to say, I saw this pasuk in the Torah. Could you please explain this? I saw this halacha. Could you please explain this to me? Because I don't understand it. It seems to be going against us. And obviously you have your way. So the person is supposed to look and say, oh, you know what? Either he'll give you a good reason why we're doing it this way, or he'll say, oh, you know, I forgot. If Moshe Rabbeinu can say he forgot, we can say we forgot. You know, it's as simple as that. Sometimes we forget or we didn't know, and then we learn. Then he says, so that's the three things you can't do as a lack of reverence. Then ezu kibud. What is kibud? What does it mean to honor your parents? Machil mashke malbish manil. That you have to feed them, bring the food to them, bring the drink to them, bring their clothes to them, bring their shoes to them. Machin shemotzi, let them go in first, bring them in first, and then also bring them out. That's your kavod that you're showing to your parents. Okay. So when you actually bring Shabbat food to the Shabbos table, this is also something. I know growing up, my mother was always the one who was a server. She would be the one who serves it, probably because, very simply, and probably why most parents do it, it's because soup is hot and can burn little children. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing that that's really what happens. But as we grew up, then we started to switch that role. And once we knew what we should be doing, yeah.
What if, letting them go first? What if they
letting who go first?
Your parents.
Parents, go ahead.
Like walking through the door or something.
Right.
What if they either give you permission or instruct you to go first?
So what do you think the answer would be?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Again, it's a lack of kavod. If my father tells me to do something and I don't do it, it's a lack of kavod. What he's saying is, at first, you have to bring them in, you have to bring them out. You know, that should be you. And, it's like in the old days, long before you were born, men used to open the door for a woman.
Oh, yeah.
It was expected.
Yeah.
Just expected.
Yes.
It was common courtesy. If you were riding on a bus and there was an older person coming, let me finish. And there was an older person that came on the bus and there was no seat, it was common courtesy to get up from your seat and to give it to the older person. Today, that's absolutely not done. It's just not done. Mm-hmm. And when you actually do it, and a woman experiences that, if she's not a feminazi, to quote what's his name, Rush Limbaugh. So if she's not a feminazi, she'll say thank you. And one woman, they said to me, "Wow, chivalry isn't dead." I said, "Yeah, thank God." Because I was brought the right way, but what was your question?
Yeah, holding the door for a door and stepping out of the way and holding the door, or just you're like going into the gas station like holding the door behind you? So you don't have to pull the door for yourself.
Either way, but the original thing was to open the door,
Sure.
to go out of your way to honor the woman. That was the original thing. Yeah, obviously we hold the door because we don't want to run behind, or it's not worth it. But no, I'll never forget. There was a woman. I opened the door for a woman, and she said, "I don't need you to open the door for me." I said, "Excuse me, I'm sorry."
Wow.
I pushed the door shut in front of her. Like, go ahead. And I was an idiot for doing it because I was young. It was wrong. But still, I was like, leave me alone. I opened the door. Say thank you. If somebody opens the door for me or the hold for me, I just say thank you. I walk through.
Yeah.
Man, woman, I don't care who's doing it. You want to respect me like that? I didn't know I have so much white hair, apparently, but okay, I can't hold the door. But you want to respect me because I died. That's what it is. You're showing respect for the person. By the way, when people are here and they're walking or riding their bikes, and they don't say good morning, or they don't, how do men usually greet? Like this, right? We don't speak to shake our head. But when you don't even do something like that, you don't recognize the person in front of you, Jewish or non-Jewish, it's rude. It's downright rude. And we're not bringing our kids up properly, because I see them plenty of times running back and forth, and nobody's saying anything. Okay, they don't want to say hi to me because their parents told them don't speak to strangers. I understand. I don't. But to give a nod, that's why they used to have bells on their bikes, so they could being warning, I'm coming through, I can't drive. Okay. But even there was a semblance of hi, I recognize you're there. That doesn't exist anymore. But you understand what I'm saying? So if the point is, I have to show common courtesy. That's all the Torah is trying. And by the way, if you do that today, you're totally separate. That is Kedusha, the ultimate. Especially when we're in Kippah, by the way. Because people will say, Baruch Hashem, the Jews still, this person was brought up correctly. By the way, all the old timers will truly appreciate it. And even the young kids, unless, again, they're crazy, they're going to say thank you. Or if they don't say thank you, they'll at least appreciate it.
Yeah, I was in a crowded doctor's office not too awful long ago, last fall maybe.
Right.
And it was a small waiting room. It was a very, very busy doctor's office. And a woman came in. I don't remember at this point whether she was older looking or younger than me. I don't remember. But I got up and she was very pleasantly surprised. And she said, "Thank you very much." And she may have made some kind of comment like you experienced. Right. Yeah, this is wonderful.
All right. Wow. Okay, I want to skip a little. Let's go to chapter 19, verse 14. It's right before the second Aliyah. And we'll I really have to fly at this point because we're running out of time. So it says, Lo tikalel cheresh, you should not curse a deaf person. You have it? 19:14. So it starts off, you shouldn't curse a deaf person. And before a blind person, Lo titain michshol, you should not put a stumbling block. Why? You should have, again, respect for Hashem, Ani Hashem, I am Hashem. Yeah.
Can you curse a dead person?
No.
So what about Hitler and stuff like that? When people say Hitler and like God.
Yimach Shemo, they say, may his name be blotted out. Right.
Is that cursing him technically?
No, they're saying what we want. Cursing, and by the way, we're talking about Jews here in general, okay? And this, you can extend it to non-Jews, but it's not a mitzvah per se. When we're looking at this, these are all about Jews. So it says, Rashi explains, it says, don't curse a deaf person. Now, how's a deaf person going to know?
Yeah,
right?
But that's the whole point, though.
That's right. So it says, I only know about the deaf person that I can't curse me. Now I learn about the kol adam. So how do I know everybody else that I can't curse? If him, not it's all the moso. So tamaloma ba'amcha lo ta'or. So it says in Shemot, in Exodus, in your nation you should not curse. So if that's the case, lama nemar cheresh. So why do I need a special commandment not to curse a deaf person? He's already part of the Jews. It's like the same thing if I have to add a gear. I have to love the gear. But if he's already a Jew, what do you have to give me a special commandment for? Just say, you have to add a recha, leave me alone. Once that person converts, they're included in that, right? So here, if you already said, don't curse your nation. So if it's a deaf guy and it's a Jew, he's part of our nation, so you should know not to curse him too. It's a common sense, right? So Rashi says, if that's the case, why do you include that? So I answered you wrong. So just as a deaf person is a special one while he's alive, so anybody who's alive, so you could curse a dead person. Rashi's saying you could. Okay. He's dead. He's dead. So if you curse a dead person, it's not nice. But okay, you can get away with it. Okay, and this is lifnei iver lo titei michshol, lifnei asuma b'daber. We're talking about a blind person, right? So then it says lo titei eitz she'eno hogenet lo. But you also can't give bad advice to people. If you know somebody wants to, you know what you're doing, right? So Rashi explains, Al tomar machor tzadcha kach lecha chamor. You can't say to the person, sell me your field and you take a donkey. Okay, for love not lemena. And okay, so you can't say something if it's bad for that person. Yeah. Buy stock A. You know stock A is going to crash. So you say, stock A is the greatest thing. No, you're putting he's trusting you. You're putting a stumbling block in front of the blind man. Again, blind meaning not literally blind, but just doesn't know better. Yeah.
You also can't literally put a stumbling block from the blind person.
Well, that's clear. That's clear. But what we're also learning out of here is that you can't. Not only can't you do it to a blind person, but even if it's he's not there, he's not aware, you can't tell him something that would be wrong. And again, why? What's the last part of it? Right? You should fear Hashem. Lefisha davar zeh enu masor lebriot lida imdato shel zeh letova or l'ra'a. A person, when I tell you something, you don't know if I told you if I was doing it for my benefit or for your benefit. You don't know what's in my heart. You heard my words, okay? But so then, when it doesn't work out, you come to me and say, "You steered me wrong. I thought I was right. I did. I had the best intentions." So Rashi continues to say, right? That's when it says, "You should fear Hashem." God knows what you were thinking. God knows what you had in mind. So you can fool the people all the time, but Hashem will never fool. So v'yareitam l'kecha, fear Hashem. V'chein chol davar mashal libo shel adam aso v'ein sha'ar briot makiro bosh, and that's why it says fear Hashem. Okay? Yeah.
So can you give advice if you're not completely sure, but you're 85% sure, and that's probably the right thing to do?
Again, you should tell the person, I'm not 100% sure. This is what I think you should do, but I'm not an expert in the field.
Don't sell it. Don't quote me.
I guess don't quote me, right? But also, a caveat. I always tell people caveat emptor: buyer beware. You need to know. You do the research on yourself. By the way, if you look on anything online when it comes to stocks, the first thing they'll tell you is like Motley's Crew or whatever it's called, Motley's Fool. I forget what it's called. But they'll tell you, we can tell you stocks, but do your due diligence. Search it out, figure out if this is what you want, and of course, everybody will tell you, if you're not comfortable in stocks, don't invest.
Any brokerage firm will also give you this little caveat too. They'll say, any investments with us are not insured or guaranteed for any return.
There you go. Okay, so now, this is what we were talking about before. I just want to get to the very end of the parsha. So it says, let's go to the very end. Chapter 20, as chapter 20, verse 26. We went through a whole bunch of laws, like I said, with the riot and everything else, telling us what we shouldn't do. God even told us that if we defile Israel, we will be kicked out because the land will vomit us out. So now he gives the bottom line of this. V'yitem li kedoshim, you will be to me a holy people. Ki kadosh ani Hashem, because I am holy. Va'avdil etchem min ha'amim li'oli, and I have separated you from the nations to be for me. And Rashi says, imatem muvdalim mehem, if you separate from them, Harei atashali. None of the nations. Then behold, you are mine. V'yim love. But if you do not separate yourself from these nations, Harei atem shel Nebuchadnezzar v'chaverav. Behold, you will be belonging to Nebuchadnezzar and his friends. That's who are. Okay. V'tiknu be'eretz kedusha, and you will be kicked out of this land. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, "Minayin shelo yomar Adam efshi." Nafshi katsa b'basar chazir. How do you know that you shouldn't say I'm disgusted by pork? I can't do it. I'm so disgusted. Who could eat this garbage? You don't say that, and you don't say efshi little bosh kalayim. It's impossible for a person like me to wear kalayim, the mixture of wool and linen. How can you do that? Aval yomar nafshi efshi. Rather, you say, it is possible. I would love to do it. Umayeh said, but what can I do? Hashem made a decree on me not to do it. So Talmud Lomar, that's why it says, I have separated you from the nations to be for me. When you separate, it should be for me. Let me finish. It should be for me. You should separate yourself from the sin. You should accept upon yourself the yoke of Hashem's government. That's why you're doing it. Again, don't ever think I'm doing because it makes sense to me. That's not the reason. The reason should be because Hashem said so. Yeah.
When you're saying this, do you think about the person who says, I can't possibly imagine myself wearing such a thing? Or maybe he could, but he probably wouldn't want to. Saying that he would love to, but can't because of God's commandments, isn't that faking humbleness?
No, he has to really believe that.
Oh, okay.
What God is saying is, don't say, when I separated you, it wasn't so you should say, that's disgusting. How could anybody eat that? And belittle it. It's good stuff, I guess. I'll take the word for it. It's the other white meat, whatever they want to call it. But it's... we shouldn't look at it and say, how could anybody have lobster? It's disgusting. How can anybody do that? Yeah. You shouldn't say that. You should say, I would love to try it. It looks interesting. If nothing else looks interesting. And maybe I won't like it when I tried it. Look, I can't eat peanut butter, but that's my business. It's not because of halakha or anything. I just don't enjoy it. But at least I tried it at one time. And then I was like, yeah. Okay, I'll have to stop there.